Hey everyone, welcome to our first ever AMA session. Today we're going to be having a really deep dive into what you really need to know if you're applying for engineering, coming from an engineering pro himself. I'll just kind of be here to see if you have any questions and things like that, and we'll just be walking you through some commonly asked questions. And yeah, I think we can get straight into it. Did you want to do a little intro?
Yeah, so hello, my name's Yifan. Most people call me Yif because full name's too hard to pronounce. So I'm currently studying a double degree of engineering honors and computer science at UNSW. I happen to specialize in electrical engineering, so specifically quantum and nanoscale devices. And I'll be available to answer all of your questions about anything related to engineering. Because I've had to do my fair share of like scattershot engineering subjects in first and second year anyways. But that's about it.
Yeah, cool. We had a couple of questions come through on our Ask Me Anything thread. They're both pretty similar, so I think that a lot of people are wondering what kind of subjects or prereqs you'll need if you're looking at going into engineering at uni.
Yep. So I guess to begin, we sort of have to like discuss because engineering is a big field, right? You have all the different engineerings from like mining engineering all the way down to like control systems engineering or something along those lines, right? Once you start to get into like the specifics, then it becomes very, very wide. But until then, generally speaking, we can take a look at like the subject selections in high school. So those selections being HSC and also extracurriculars that you could potentially take on.
Yeah.
Some common points, of course, is if you're going into engineering, you're going to be expected to do a lot of math. That's just the long and short of it. Whether it's going to be discrete math or continuous math. So think computer science versus like electrical engineering. You're going to be needed doing a lot of math. A lot of engineerings also require a lot of physics.
Yeah.
Many different aspects of physics. Mechatronics and mechanical deal with motion, forces, and like basically structural integrity, things to do with forces. Meanwhile, electrical, biomedical deal more with like actual elementary particle physics, electric field, electromagnetism, things of that nature. So really, it's a very, very complicated topic of like what prerequisites would you suggest doing in high school? Short answer, math and physics are almost necessary for most engineering that you're going to need to do. If you're planning on taking biomedical or chemical engineering, then obviously the relevant chemistry and biology courses would also help you a lot. But once again, these courses in high school really only build a foundational, like they give you a scattershot of what you would expect to actually learn in university. You don't actually need to do it. You can do bridging courses and things. It's just that it makes your life easier. So if anything, I dare say that like it's much more useful and prudent to just sort of get to know the actual specialization and the actual fields that you want to get into. That way you can look into doing projects. You can maybe look to see if you have any community engagement that you can do with it. Anything along those lines will help you, really. It's very, very open, very open.
For sure. No, I think that's like a really good way to kind of encompass that one. Okay, moving on. I think because this is our first one, we did kind of list down a couple of frequently asked questions that we get from students, maybe that you speak to yourself or just kind of frequent inquiries as a tutoring business. So I guess like one of I think probably the one that you could probably go into a fair bit is like, how do you know which branch of engineering to choose? I assume you had a fair bit of,
Yeah, so I guess on a more personal note, I suppose, like for me at least, it was very much like I really enjoyed doing chemistry and physics in high school. I thought that was really neat, and also along with math. Originally, I thought I wanted to do a physics degree, but in looking at like the career landscape of just pure science, it wasn't looking particularly good compared to like taking on engineering instead. So from that, then I selected electrical engineering because I liked math and I liked physics. That was about it. I sure as hell get my fair share of whatever I wanted doing this. But really, it's just very much like, what do you find interesting in high school to do? Like, you've done your standard STEM selection things. You've done your math, your chemistry, your physics, your bio, and very much it depends on which subjects did you enjoy. If you enjoy doing biology, if you enjoy doing, human body molecules, organic chemistry, things of that nature, then biomed will be a very, very suitable choice.
Yeah.
If you enjoy doing analysis of, in mathematics, for example, like ways to take information and then transform it into other bits of information, so to do logic, basically, electrical computer science are very good. If you like seeing how things work and if you like blowing stuff up, civil, mechatronics, all those sort of like STEM fields probably relate more. Of course, though, you don't really know what you're getting into until you get into it. You don't really begin to undertake specializations in university until past first year. That's a common thing that I've seen people do. So if you're ever unsure, it's always very easy to like just do a scattershot of what you currently enjoy at high school.
Yeah.
Go to university and then undertake a flexible first year. For engineering, at least, because all engineers are expected to have a baseline understanding of like math and physics, flexible engineering first year basically means that like you just try out a bunch of different things and you don't lose too much time.
Wait, that's really cool. I didn't even know that you could do that. Very cool. Yeah. No, and I think that, as you said, like it opens up prospects for you without being overwhelming. Because I feel like especially in a field like that, it is quite specific and gets pretty like intense. Pretty.
Yes. Just as a personal anecdote, the mechatronics and mechanical people also, if you go to UNSW, for example, and you undertake a mechatronics or a mechanical degree, because in this day and age, we expect most engineers to be able to work with computers and also understand how to design, or not design, but just how to work with electrical systems. They have to undertake the first year electrical engineering core course. And as a result, the dropout rate for that course is about 40%, 30 to 40% or something like that. Because most people take it, they find that like, oh, I hate this, and they don't want to do it again. Right? But that's a very common and very like expected occurrence, right? If you find that you don't like something, it's very easy to just quickly swap out, and it won't lose you time, it won't lose too much time, it won't lose you too much money.
And I think especially when you're in high school, it can be so daunting, the idea of going into uni and it all feels very closed off, but there's so many pathways and so many like different ways to get to where you are. No, for sure. Cool. All right, let's have a look at how hard you think it is compared to high school, because I know that throws a lot of people off.
So to get a sense of things, I guess we can compare it to the high school engineering syllabus, because as we all should know, for those who are watching this recording, maybe I suppose, the HSC itself also has an engineering syllabus. In that engineering syllabus, they basically give you a scattershot of every engineering discipline that's very commonly done, just to give you like a taste of what is to come. So it gives you a better selection, basically. In that one, the difficulty with it is that in high school, you're not expected to know math past year 10. Like if you take any year 11 and year 12 course, you're not, NESA can't assume that you've also taken math. So what that means is for a lot of the engineering disciplines that you're going to be going into, you're really going to be thrown for a loop when you actually take it for real in university compared to when you take it in high school. In high school, you might be doing things like force analysis, which is say you have, I have a ball falling against gravity. If I throw it this way, then there's a force going that way and this force going down, and then we just add them up. And then that's, high school physics, year 11 physics and year 11 engineering. But in university, we might have something along the lines of the ball is accelerating, and instead of just simply having these two forces, we have to treat these two forces as if they changed over time, because the ball loses energy as it moves through the air. So how do we account for this? Well, in high school, you would account for this by saying that the energy loss is negligible. And so we just ignore it. In university, what you're going to soon realize is that it's actually not very difficult to solve a problem. It's very, very difficult to solve the problem accurately. Right? so you'll have to realize we use tons and tons of mathematical modeling. We use tons of intuition to try to get results out. What I found was that in high school, when I was doing the electricity topic in high school, in physics, I did not understand anything. Not a single thing was understood. And then I went to uni, and then they sort of assumed that I understood everything.
Yeah.
And they just gave it to me. That's
a lot of that in uni.
Yeah,
There's so much assumed knowledge, and they kind of just expect to.
The difficulty gap definitely does increase a lot and very quickly. And you will notice that if you do undertake an engineering degree, every year is going to be harder than the last without fail. You'll realize that a course that you thought, if you took a course in first year and you thought it was the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, second year, you're going to take another course and you're going to wish that you had went back to the first year course. Yeah. Right? That's the sort of experience that I've had in engineering so far. Yeah.
And how would you say that, knowing all of that, how do you manage your time and
Yeah, so it depends. There's two general consensuses when it comes to time management when you're studying engineering. The first consensus is that, I got into engineering, I don't care anymore, right? That's the first consensus. Yeah, please get degrees, right? That's the first consensus. In that one, it's hard to pull off. It's very hard to pull off without having difficulty later on finding opportunities in university for either projects or internships or things of that nature. But it certainly is pull offable, right? The alternative to this is you really have to get on top of whatever you were not doing in high school. So what that means is if you weren't note-taking before in high school, you definitely will be note-taking in university. Yeah. Not from choice either.
I think that I think note-taking specifically.
Yeah, note-taking, because university as well is every term you would have to do an exam. Yeah. Most universities in Australia run a 2-term schedule, so semester schedule. So that means every single term, at minimum, you are likely going to have to take about 7 final exams. 4 final, 3 final exams.
Yeah.
Every engineering final exam is typically worth 50 to 60% of your overall course. Yeah. Along with a hurdle. So if you don't make it past 50% in the exam, you have to retake the course. Yeah. Means that if you don't study consistently, if you don't have very good notes, if you don't have very good time management, the last 2 weeks of the exam period is just going to be you and your laptop and your lecture slides. Yeah. In, out, in, out, in, out. Yeah, of course. So really, you have to get your time management together. Learn how to take efficient notes. Yeah. How and when, because of course the transition from high school to university is also difficult.
It's a lot,
as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do you find that going to UNSW makes that any harder?
Oh yes, yeah. You know what the acronym for UNSW is, right?
No, what is it?
You never sleep well.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. No, that's funny.
Yeah. So the transition was it was actually sort of fine for me because my school, I went to City Boys. Yeah. And UNSW is just 3 lateral stops down the road from SP. Yeah. So my routine didn't really change that much outside of just not going to school 2 days a week or something. But it definitely hit me when I realized when I was studying for exams and I didn't know something because in high school I didn't really note take. Yeah. And then in my first and second year of uni, that came to bite me immediately because I realized that for math, for example, we're studying algebra. If I don't know how A times B is equal to C, then I do not know what this entire matrix times this entire matrix is, right? I don't know. Yeah. And then I have to dig through the notes. I spend time doing that.
Yeah. So definitely time consuming. I will say I feel like I don't know, I go to UNSW as well. And I feel because in high school you're operating on a 10, 11 week basis, the timing itself you're pretty used to. It's more the workload that kind of hits you. Especially in the beginning, and then as you said, if you're not able to figure out a good time management schedule, you're kind of stuck. We did have somebody ask kind of along that line what kind of a study routine looks like for you.
So me personally, because so what I study is tends to be much more theoretical in nature because of the nature of my degree. Instead of working, you'll realize that in second and third year engineering, because you're engineers, you will be engineers.
Yeah.
You're expected to actually build, design, and solve, build and design systems to solve problems, right? Knowing theory is like only half, maybe 30% of the actual battle.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Rayash.
We were talking about study routines,
Yes.
and then you were saying how because your degree is a lot more theory based.
Yes. I remember now. Yes. So, So, as an engineer, you're expected to build solutions to problems. We teach you the theory, so that way you understand how to build efficient solutions to problems. Right. That's actually what differentiates an engineer from any person trying to solve a problem. It's that you are hopefully more well equipped to hold optimal solutions to problems, because obviously optimal solutions, cheaper materials, economically more viable, better solutions. Think like plastic that will not stay in the environment permanently, right? The solution to we needing plastic bags to carry things is not efficient, because plastic bags get thrown everywhere. An efficient solution would be if a biomedical engineer created plastic bags that could dissolve in water or something like that. It stays resistant for maybe 2 hours and then dissolves in water afterwards. That would be an efficient solution. But the problem with this is you need to know the theory, and you also need to know the practicality on how to do these things. What that means is during your university in second and third year, you are very likely going to be exposed to building systems. So if you're aeronautical, you might be building test planes, test wings, and testing those wings in air ducts.
Sure.
If you're electrical, you might be building circuits to test whether or not you've got the expected outcome. If you're mechanical, you'd be building arms and things of that nature, testing to see whether or not they have structural rigidity. Civil, model bridges, things of this nature. If you are doing engineering, you're going to be doing a lot of these practical details.
Sorry. My fault.
That's okay. You're going to be doing a lot of these practical details. And this means your study routine is going to look very, very different from the study routine of your friend who might be doing like a more theoretical thing such as commerce or communication or something like that, right? Because you're going to need to spend a lot of your own time actually coming up with solutions. It's very much like a bang your head against the wall until you find something that works sort of deal. In that sense, then your study routine is going to look very, very disjointed. It's very likely what's going to happen is you're going to have to every week you're going to have to go to your tutorials, go to your labs, go to your lectures, write your notes, digest the material for that week, and then next week repeat. And then the hope is that once you've done all this digestion, once you've done your allocated hours, at the end of your finals, you're hopefully able to answer theoretical questions with practical solutions. That's the goal. So how this would differ from a high school study schedule would be, for example, in high school, you might allocate 2 hours to math, 2 hours to physics, 2 hours to chemistry, so on and so on and so on every day, over like a study break or something. And then that would be it. That would be it. In engineering university, it's very likely I allocate 4 hours to actually understand the theory and whatnot, and then I just have to allocate 3 days of just possibly spent time. Because I don't know if the circuit that I'm building is actually going to do what it wanted to do. If it doesn't, I don't know why it doesn't. If I knew why it doesn't, then I wouldn't have done it in the first place, right? So, and I don't know how long this sort of iterative process is going to take. A lot of courses you're going to realize are going to be like, they're just going to let you go like sheep. They're just going to go, hey, can you, for example, I did a course which was, can you build a lamp? That was it. Just build a battery-operated lamp.
Helpful, guys.
That's it. And then they just sort of expected you to be extremely self-sufficient, research all the things that you needed to do. Up until this point, you've done all the theory. I know how to build power circuits. I don't know how to build a lamp, but it can't be that hard, right? 2 months later, I've got a working lamp, but every week was I just had to allocate some amount of time and hope that I can finish it within that time. I have to make project deliverables. That's very important. That's a big difference compared to high school. In high school, you get your allocated study time.
Yeah.
In engineering,
Sorry.
it's okay. In engineering, it's very likely you have to say like, okay, I hope within the next 6 hours I can come up with a system that will turn my light on and off when I press this button.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you do, congratulations, you're done. Tick.
Yeah.
If you don't, unlucky.
Back to the drawing board. Right? Yeah, fair enough.
It's very different, very different.
Not for the weak, but I think like super dynamic.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Like
yes,
I feel like, especially like in the world that we live in now, I feel like everyone's kind of veering towards degrees and study and work that is more set up to be dynamic and something that isn't like you're doing the same thing every single day.
Differentiate. To differentiate.
Yeah, right. And I definitely think that like it's awesome to see that. We had a chat about how there's like, and you kind of explained it as well, the difference between like a solution and an optimal solution. Yes. Would you say that like within the space of engineering, like, do you think that's relevant to every kind of like field?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a very simple reason because the bare minimum, I guess, is when you undertake an engineering degree and you get your engineering certification at the end. So when you're allowed to call yourself an engineer, right, like officially, the expectation is that you have enough theory to actually provide a valid solution, right? Because obviously I can't ask you to design a quantum computer, for example, right?
Yeah.
But I can ask one of my cohort to design like a gate for a quantum computer or something. Now, it's very important that like, if they come up with the design and it's not efficient, it's not optimal, then what that means is if I'm like a manager for a company or if I'm just trying to make a quantum computer work, if this component is not optimal, then this component, which is not optimal, might cause other components to be limited. We might get something called bottlenecking going on. Right. Yeah. That's bad because that means that like I might not know what the problem is. Right. For example, if I hire one of my friends to build a power supply for my computer. My computer could be built by Einstein himself. Yeah. But I'm noticing that my computer is hiccuping sometimes. Yeah. Why? My computer is built by Einstein, right? I don't know why. I have to go through every single component. I have to look through every single thing until I reach the core problem, which is the power supply is slightly inefficient. Yeah. Like, if I had a more efficient power supply in the first place, maybe I wouldn't even have noticed the fact that like the hiccups were happening. Yeah. Right. So that could be like an example of electrical engineering. The biggest problem of this would be, for example, civil. If you hire 3 engineers to build a bridge, and they each come up with different examples for a bridge, then obviously you would pick the bridge that best fits your description, right? I want this bridge to be cheap, but I want it to be the cheapest bridge possible while being the strongest bridge possible. Because the difference between a cheap and a slightly cheaper bridge could be $50 million. Yeah. It's not slightly cheap. Yeah. It's slightly cheaper in the sense that like, the number's not that much bigger. Yeah. It might be like 1 billion versus 1.005 billion. Yeah. But 50 million is still a lot of money, right? Like, yeah, for sure. Not to mention safety. But then again, like, safety kind of falls at the detriment of that. Yeah. If the design isn't. Yeah. Because a lot of the times you'll notice that we trade off. The first rule of engineering is that like we never trade safety. That's the first rule. If you can, and you should, you always give 2-3 times safety margins. Not only because, if somebody uses your device and they get hurt from it, you're liable. Yeah. But also, if your device does not have these margins in the first place and it stops working, then you're still liable. Yeah. Right? So we try to give as much room as possible. If you're not very, very well accustomed at building highly efficient, highly optimized solutions, you're not going to have this big buffer that we're going to be looking for, right? You're going to build things that costs more money for less safety or costs more money for less efficiency. Right. Yeah. And because the devices that we make as well can be very easily modeled as like money in, money out, right? Like if I have a server, if I'm making a server from Microsoft to train ChatGPT on, right? Very, very, very like topical.
Yeah.
I want the server to be as efficient as possible
Yeah.
because if I don't, the government's gonna go to Microsoft and go like, why are you drawing
Yeah.
enough power to like
I
level a
know.
city?
Literally.
Right? Like
For sure.
it's very important. It's
Yeah.
very important. So yes, I
Interesting.
think it's important.
No, absolutely. Okay, let's kind of like gear it back towards
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah.
Looking at like when you're in school,
Yes.
we've kind of walked them through prereqs or
Yes.
subject recommendations
Yep.
that would help them.
Mhm.
But what do you think it is that like they can do to prepare for university
Right.
while they're in school, so
Right.
that it maybe isn't as like harsh of a transition?
Are we assuming that they've already got an offer, or
Maybe.
Okay.
Just like considering that, like, if
Yep.
they're interested in
Yep,
engineering and they're looking to like pursue that,
Yep.
just things that they might be able to do in their school life
Yep.
to make
okay?
those habits
Yeah,
kind of easier going
okay.
into.
To begin with, I guess take up a hobby in whatever you're trying to do. That's
Yeah.
the easiest way. Like, for example, not repping or anything. In fact, I don't actually like them that much. But
Okay.
not JB Hi-Fi, sorry, JCar. Have you
Oh,
heard
yeah.
JCar?
Okay.
JCar sells like a bunch of random electronic stuff, right? A lot of hobbyists go there to buy components and things.
Yeah.
Normally, if you buy a big bag of like switches,
Mhm.
they might be like 2 cents per switch.
Yeah.
At JCar, they'll be like $2
Oh.
because you're buying in bulk, right?
Oh,
JCar sells it to
right,
you one at
okay,
a time. Alternatively, I can buy a big bag for
Yeah.
$5,000, but each one's 2 cents.
Yeah.
Right. So like take up hobby, like if you're interested in vehicles, if you're interested in building cars and things of that nature, you might be really interested in the electric vehicles, which is a very, very big up and coming thing.
Yeah.
You might want to look into buying a kit for building a vehicle yourself. You might want to look into, if you're not into kits, you can look into building like buying like the actual controllers in themselves.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind as well, most engineers are also engineers off the clock as well. Like typically speaking, if you do engineering, you actually like what you're doing, because otherwise you would not make it through the uni.
Yeah.
And as a result, what happens is a lot of the tools that they use are actually completely free and available online. What that means is if you wanted to, you could theoretically go out, buy a board for maybe $20,
Yeah.
program it yourself,
Yeah.
solder stuff yourself,
Yeah.
then buy some wheels, tack it on, and it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of the kids
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
no older than like 10, 11 years old, and he had a little board of his own and would show us little tricks and things like that. So I definitely think it is like like I do think it has to have some innate like interest and
Yeah.
because I know that like social pressures and things like that absolutely fair, but definitely like going into something, as you said, like as that requires as much commitment as engineering does, you do need to go into it with that mindset.
Yeah. So I guess this all wraps around to say that like you sort of have to like engage your mindset in it. If you don't have the proper mindset, you're going to find going through university, at least an engineering degree, if you hate doing it, you're not going to last doing it, because what's going to happen is you're going to slowly burn out because the workload's extremely high. You're going to burn out, you're not going to enjoy it, and then you're just eventually going to drop out. Which is bad for several reasons. But, it's just not good.
No, exactly. Okay, let's take like a 2-minute break. We'll just do some testing and we'll be back. We're back. Break is over. We're just we have about 10 minutes left. So we're thinking of taking this time to have a quick chat about what it is that you do at uni, because we did kind of explore that your degree is quite a bit more theory. And we've had multiple conversations and I'm still not 100% sure. So it's definitely something I'm interested to hear, and I'm sure that like our many viewers would also be.
Okay, I guess to start, my full degree classification is I'm undertaking a Bachelor's of Engineering Honors doubled with a Bachelor's of Computer Science. My specialization in engineering is that of quantum engineering. So the degree itself is called quantum engineering, but it's just electrical engineering with physics tacked on, essentially.
Okay.
what I do, and so I'm past the point where I've done all my like electrical engineering core courses.
Yeah.
So I'm technically speaking about as certified as you can get without going into specializations.
Yeah.
But my specialization is specifically in the field of quantum gate control theory. That is the actual thing of what I do. So basically.
How do we unpack that?
So I'll just sort of tell you what like a day-to-day, I guess. So my work, like day-to-day workings, I guess, would be I take a look at computers. So a form of computer essentially. Just for a little bit of like background preamble, I guess. Right now, computers use bits. People probably, like most engineering students probably know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But a bit is, for example, like whether you're saying 1 is on and 0 is off. And then using bits, I'm not going to explain how,
That's
but
okay.
using bits, you can represent numbers as bits.
Okay.
You can represent operations as, so things like plus, minus. You can represent your name in bits.
Okay.
That's how computers do it.
Yeah.
And this is what we call digital, right? Digital. There is another thing called quantum computing, which is we still have these bits, but we attach a Q to them because that way they sound cooler.
Bit Q or
a qubit, actually.
Qubit.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Qubit.
that is cooler. I was gonna say bit.
No, qubit. So instead of working with bits like what digital computers do, we work with qubits. But the problem with qubits is that they really do not want to exist in our mortal realm. They, as soon as you make them, they try their best to what we call decohere. So they just instantly evaporate, essentially.
Yeah.
So what I do then is I study errors in how we model these things, because of course the actual math that we use to work with it is so complex and so difficult that nobody as of this recording has come up with a way to actually solve the math. So what we have to do is we just have to take a bunch of like approximations. We think that this thing will do this. And in thinking, we as humans make a bunch of errors. And my job is basically, how do we make the math better to reduce these errors?
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So what that entails then is I study a bunch of like fancy math tricks to get information, to process information essentially. That might be things like, for example, if you had a social network, if you had Facebook or Instagram or something like that, and you had a whole bunch of friends on Instagram, Instagram might recommend to you that you should try befriending this person because you share 3 mutual friends.
It does do that.
A question might be like, how do I know which person to recommend to you? There should be a theoretical best person to recommend to you. Right? But how do we know that best person?
Yeah.
And how do we even know if that best person that we calculate is actually the best person?
Yeah.
For all we know, we're recommending you your exes, right? So my job then will be equivalent to optimizing this algorithm for like to try to make it so that like, you know, instead of 50% of the time we're recommending you the right person, it'd be like 85% of the time.
Cool. Yeah.
That's the actual thing
umbrella.
of what I'm doing. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So really, if you want the actual fields that I'm specializing in, I specialize in control theory, which is a field of electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Control theory and quantum physics is the 2 fields.
Yeah.
And it just involves a lot of math. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So you've heard it here. Do the math.
Do the math.
Do lots of it. Building habits early on.
I will actually say, sorry.
No.
Just to mention, but like, what you will actually find is that like, if you're very good at math, you will actually find a lot of the courses to be really straightforward. Because what happens is, in engineering, the only way we know things work is because the math says that it works. Yeah. Right? So a lot of engineers sort of like, they go into engineering knowing that they're going to do a lot of math, but they don't know why, right? There's not really like a given reason why. The reason's very simple. It's because if you know and understand the math, then you can also know that like, we don't need this bit of the math. This bit of the math is not important.
Yeah.
Just cross it out.
Yeah, right.
And then if you do you still remember any math?
Somewhat.
Do you remember quadratic equations?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you remember how hard it is to solve quadratic equations?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you imagine if we can just say, okay, ignore the quadratic term.
Yeah, right.
Right?
And it's just like
And it's just and
your own
the
made-up
answer's within like 1% of the actual answer.
interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're very good at math and you can identify these patterns in the math, a lot of the courses actually become extremely easy. Oh, extremely easy. Like
Easier.
much easier to digest.
Yeah,
much
of
easier to
course, of
digest.
course.
Yeah, sorry.
No. No, super insightful. I think we started off on a great track. Anyway, did you have anything you would, what's like, if you had one single tip
Yes.
to like give to the children, just like one, your top tip ever
Yes.
for high school, for uni, for engineering?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
You
That's a good
have
one.
to enjoy what you are doing.
Mhm.
If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to put time into it.
Yeah.
If you are going to put time into it, you're going to be forced to put time into it. You're not going to enjoy that. You're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
Take this from me.
Yeah.
You're going to get burnt out. And really, like, as well, you're going to hear a lot of people say that, like, oh, your degree has these career prospects, right? Of course, you know, keep in mind your career prospects, degree prospects, all that sort of stuff. But really, if you're doing engineering, you can almost not be guaranteed, but it's very, very like likely that you're going to be fine, at least career-wise, right? So really, it's just enjoy what you're doing, because that way you'll do it more. The more you do it, the better you get.
For sure.
Right?
And you guys are seeing that in real time. Like, clearly you're passionate about it because he likes doing it.
There you go.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this was our first AMA, starting off strong, I would say. You guys will see our engineering drawings that Ethan did in very, very beautiful colors. Probably inverted, but that's okay.
Inverted.
It's all right. But yeah, thank you for watching this recording, I guess. And we will touch base with you guys next week for our next session with Liam, who is a state ranker and did math in high school, math and many other things. But the session we'll be focusing on is kind of more so looking at advanced maths and things like that. If you have any more questions about engineering, anything about uni, anything about life in general, keep dropping them in the Ask Us Anything chat. We always want to know what you guys actually want to hear about in these sessions so we can make them more catered for you. But yeah, happy Friday, and thank you for your time today. We had a lot of fun. I know that. But yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.